you need to know is it's bad.
It's really bad.
Like end of the human race as we know it kind of bad.
Thanks, Dustin. That really helps me understand the crazy situation we're in, and I think you will be happy to find out that I have not a single follow-up question. My curiosity only extended to whether or not this was a good or bad thing, and then the approximate nature of the badness should that be the case. Consider my curiosity satisfied.
Steve? Where's your Russian friend?
Erica must be referring to the soldier that Steve slightly dazed last episode who no one decided to tie up or gag or secure in any way at all. Yeah, super weird that he's not here anymore. This base has one of those fancy Hollywood alarm systems that only kicks in after the main characters realize they're in trouble. Blasphemous excitement? Fortunately for Steve, this secret science lab was also studying the oldest known natural predator of the Russian army, the notoriously prolific random stack of empty barrels. Rumor has it that this is the very same stack that killed Stalin back in '53.
He's here.
The gang must be so glad that they finally have Will with them this season. I mean, his buyer's bumps alone have come in super handy at warning them about dangerous shit after it's blindingly apparent. Episode tries to seizure Nancy to death long before the creature has the opportunity to nom her to death. Nancy survives this. Also, the living lasagna has been brought to life by a body-possessing demon feeding on fertilizer, but apparently that's where the imagination stops, considering its desire to bludgeon people to death against drywall instead of doing something cool like, well, I don't know, but not that. The sludge monster thing procrastinates and plays with its Nancy snack just long enough for Elle to show up and save the day. Also, Elle, you did the same thing a few episodes back when you threw possessed Billy out of the room. At some point, you're going to have to decisively win a fight. Guys, I could continue to telekinetically kick whatever this thing calls its ass, but I think the smarter move is to let it crawl away and regroup so that it's even stronger the next time we meet. It's the last thing Vecna will expect.
It's time.
Yay! But also, why? Why is it suddenly now time? What happened at the hospital that makes it more time now than it was a few hours ago? Especially since later in the episode, it won't be time until Elle gives away their location.
May I suggest you bring some backup with you this time, since last time you got the better of you?
Picking a verbal fight with the 6'3" Russian powerhouse in a dark room with no witnesses.
2 Whoppers, extra ketchup, large fry, pack of Marlboro Reds, and 1 extra large Slurpee.
The fact that the ignitable cancer sticks might be the least of the health concerns in this list of consumables.
Tell him that it all tastes the goddamn same.
He respectfully disagrees.
No one will be seated as the great Slurpee debate of 1985 rages on while the world is ending.
I have dealt with assholes like this my entire life.
Hasty generalizations. Unless Hopper is failing to mention some other Russian scientist who was withholding information about a science experiment on American soil that he also interrogated that one time. Hasty generalizations that pay off.
Drew the demodogs away so Elle can close the gate.
Dustin choosing this critical moment where he should be concentrating on their escape to explain over 2 years of the strangest things.
So I'd estimate 10 miles back to the elevator.
Nope. There's no way you're convincing me that there are 10 miles of Russian-made tunnels under Hawkins. 10 miles! I'll believe in parallel dimensions, other worldly possessions, and Joyce falling for Hopper, but I draw the line at 10 miles of tunnels. Gus Fring spent 3 seasons just trying to dig a single room under his laundromat, so there's no way the Russians dug 10 miles of tunnels in the year between seasons 2 and 3 at the height of the Cold War.
Let's recall the pony's latest adventure, shall we? The evil centaur demon Tyrek turns Applejack into a dragon at Midnight Castle.
It sounds like Dustin is describing the My Little Pony Adventure Rescue at Midnight Castle, which is strange considering it aired in early 1984 and would not have been their latest adventure by any means. Since we know the season takes place during the summer of 1985, the pony's most recent adventure would have been Escape from Katrina. Both adventures were edited into the second season of the My Little Pony TV show, but that didn't air until 1987, which is well after the events here and also reveals the only real nerd around here is I.
I don't know if you have Russian ice cream or if that's considered gelato.
No one will be seated as the great "Is Russian ice cream technically gelato?" debate of 1985 rages on while the world is ending. This leaflet claims that the reader can expect a fun night of bingo.
What if she gets brain damage or something?
Oh, is that like a real thing?
No, it's not. He made it up.
He is making this up, but Mac's logic would suggest that Elle's persistent nosebleeds are a fluke of correlation and that she's likely just spending too much time digging around in there. Also, the Scooby Gang is back at Hopper's house, but where are the f***ing police? They just left the hospital, which has many, all the lots of dead bodies. Are we saying that receptionist didn't call the police after a blob monster landed in the parking lot minutes after the kids ran upstairs? How are they not wanted for all of the questioning right now?
She's risking her life for no reason.
For no reason, Mike the Fleeter out there doing God knows what.
Killing, flaying, transforming into monsters.
This whole group would be excellent at, seriously, what the f is Mike talking about, Sins?
I found him. Found who?
Jesus, of course. Or Billy? I guess Billy's more likely. But I suppose it could also be that missing kid on the milk carton. Nah, it's definitely Jesus. The milk carton kid would be too random, and if it was Billy, she would have just f***ing said Billy.
They're located near Transformers.
The fact that Hopper doesn't ask if Alexi is referring to the electrical or Hasbro variety shows a severe lack of imagination on his part.
Are my free translation services not good enough for you? Because you can just go ahead and file your complaint right up my ass!
Reason 4,500,742 as to why we should never give ChatGPT a personality somehow makes it into the script.
They're using it to penetrate a hole in a box?
Synopsis of my sex tape? Also, Alexi has taken the time to draw out these very technical specs, including one of the upside-down laser, but will instead use these scientific props by Burger King to describe what the Russians are attempting.
Says, of course, he could turn it off. Could Edison not turn off a lamp? Could Bell not hang up a phone?
Comparing turning off a phone or switching off a light to deactivating an interdimensional portal opener. I'm just saying it's quite telling that Alexi didn't list Mr. Oppenheimer as one of his examples here.
But he is now naked. Sorry. Exposed, compromised.
It's not easy to make out, but if we replay it, Alexi definitely mumbles discreditvortatory, which, as you can probably guess, is the Russian word for discredited, meaning Murray's naked mistranslation joke kind of falls apart. Unless we're saying he seriously confused discredited for naked, exposed, or compromised, the Russian words for which sound nothing like discreditvortatory. And no, I shall not be pronouncing them to prove my point. You're lucky you got something out of me.
He says he likes your courage. You remind him of a fat Rambo.
Actually, I think you mean Fat First Blood.
His key, it is in an underground fortress designed by the greatest Russian minds, guarded by their greatest warriors.
Character describes how impossible it is to break into impossible thing, followed by an immediate cut to unlikely people breaking into impossible thing. Cliche. Hey, props team, we need some kind of liquid thing that screams weird in an 80s way, kind of ghostbustery sludge, but it actually powers a laser ripping a hole to another dimension. No worries, my guy, say less.
Do you even know how to drive?
How hard can it be? Max did it.
That's Marxist.
Could be useful.
For what?
What do you think? Taking out commies?
That's Marxist.
1, 2, 3. Oh, holy shit! This is gonna work!
Premature cerebration.
I can't believe I'm gonna die in a secret Russian base with Steve the Hare Harrington.
That's not true. The base isn't really a secret anymore. You're gonna die in a regular Russian base with Steve the Hare Harrington.
Do you even remember me from that class?
Skip.
Watch out for rip currents!
Telling your kids to watch out for rip currents, but not making sure he wears a life jacket. Or in this case, the 70s.
Philadelphia Public Library.
Nice try, spy dude. The public library system in Philadelphia is called the Free Library of Philadelphia. You just blew your cover.
I'm going to need you to stay calm.
No, don't you dare patronize me.
And that's the cue to alleviate my bladder. Sorry, Joyce being patronized and then losing her in the politest way possible is so predictable that I've started to set my toilet breaks by them. I hear it's the same system they use at NASA. Looks like someone went to the BDSM school of villain doctoring.
You think you're so smart, but a couple of kids who scoop ice cream for a living cracked your code in a day.
You know, Robin, I wouldn't labor that point too much. It might expose that these aren't actually Russians at all, but are instead part of some scripted universe that required you to figure out the code to progress the third adventure of a story you didn't even know you were in.
Hopper's calling the U.S. cavalry. They're gonna come in here commando style, guns a-blazing.
I doubt it. Horses hate elevators. Listen, I'm all in on Attack of the Nerds here, but how did Dustin and Erica figure out where Steve and Robin were being held? And how did they time the acid discovery so perfectly? To be clear, these two children outsmarted an entire base of not just Russian soldiers, but highly intelligent Russian scientists too. And the fact that most of the outsmarting happened off-screen would seem to back up my righteous, if misplaced, outrage. Instead of finding out where Billy has been the last few weeks, Elle's powers take us to where he's been his entire life. Sure, you can explain it away as a fluke of her powers, but it also feels like a fluke of conveniently showing us Billy's tragic backstory in service of some empathy exposition. Yuck! That's my least favorite type of exposition. Cool time capsule with a phone book, but on the Brimborn sign in El's Vision, Steelworks was 2 words. Here it's 1 word. So the sin here is for advertising consistency in the 80s.
Mike?
Well, if Inception taught me anything, it's that now is when you pull out your totem. Quick, flip your Eggo waffle and see what side it lands on.
Because now I see you.
Yeah, but you could have seen her a lot sooner. She's literally hiding in her home. How many places does the Mind Flayer think she could be hiding? They've got half of Hawkins flayed, so why not send out some scouts to the 3 locations history tells you they could possibly be? If you're going to have the Mind Flayer go full kaiju, I better see it destroy all of downtown Hawkins. Otherwise, continue doling out damage via telepathy and possession until you've got the entire state of Indiana. The rest of America might not even notice. Episode of Stranger Things ends with something gross screaming at me. Cliché.
Yes, I hate this. It is revolting.
Bit unfair, not funfair.
It should take us approximately 12 and a half days.
We had 2 bags of grass, 75 pellets of mescaline, 5 sheets of high-powered blotter acid.
Maybe they have all the chemicals they need.
But once you get locked into a serious drug collection, the tendency is to push it as far as you can.
В нашей стране раньше было много таких.
It's in essence a sophisticated heat beam which we called a laser.
Somewhere in the past, the timeline skewed into this tangent, creating an alternate 1985.